the sufficient number of material. I have 2 slides to go over, and then I've got some, good news, and that is you should have some time in class today to really get after a well-written next paragraph, which is, of course, where you are agreeing with the historian over the topic of Columbus. Although I remember one of you asking, well, what if I don't want to choose Columbus? What if I want the other 2? Awesome. Then don't write it about Columbus. Write it about the other 2 topics. Anyway, you're defending the side you agree with, the historian you agree with, which means you don't say that they mistakenly have this position on Columbus. This is their position, and then you defend it with document evidence and historical evidence and analysis, and you do not refute, right? Yes, dear.
I just want to ask about AP Lang. So the paper we're writing for this class and AP Lang is the one about who shot first, right?
Yes.
Okay.
She just
That's your
randomly
question?
mentioned.
Well, I was just confused because she didn't really explain it that well today.
You had her class already?
Yeah, first class of the day.
But she
Did
just
you go over the documents?
no.
What did
she
you
didn't.
do?
She
She
just
kind
talked.
of mentioned
You
Said
just
it.
talked about it. Okay. So, not an ideal situation. Lindenberg's not here. He and I sat down and we hashed this out and we had a baby. So it's not perfect, but it'll be fine, right? Anything that she does is gravy. I'm gonna just kind of consider that whatever she does is awesome, but we'll do it.
So just hold on till Lindenberg's back.
No, because by then we'll be on paper number 2.
I don't know.
Okay, so obviously you are aware that the relationship between the English and the Indians was not ideal, right? The English thought the natives were beneath them. We had already looked at the First and Second Pequot War. Well, let's keep going here. So you're looking at a map, and when you see the big arm flexing right there, right? That's Massachusetts. Only this is a map which showed where Native American tribes lived. So this was Wampanoag territory, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Just kind of a unique map, and a virus wiped out, smallpox wiped out a huge percentage of the native population. So their numbers go down, which makes them vulnerable to war and losing. And the name of the tribe is the Wampanoag. And what they did was they sort of united with each other to resist against the whites, right? And so they're gonna unite together, and it's not gonna go well. So let's just look at a couple wars here. So we have the Pequot War, 1639, and frankly, all you need to know about it was that that this was a war between the Puritans, the white Puritans, and the Pequot Nation, right? That it was a thing. And then the largest war to date was something called King Philip's War. And you can see all these arrows, and we will very rarely fight battles in here. Maybe we'll get into it a little bit with the American Civil War. Maybe we'll get into it a little bit with World War II. But quite frankly, who cares if you know the name of the general who took this hill? It's not irrelevant, but this is a bigger ideas class, so I don't really care that you know that this group went that way and then that group went that way. The important thing is there was what happened. So there's this guy named King Philip. He was an Indian. They couldn't say his name. The English could not say his name. I mean, his name was Wanhan Sanajush. Philip. So they called him Philip. So Philip's an Indian. And the English called him Philip. His name was not Philip, but they called him Philip. And because the Puritans had guns, and because the natives were wiped out by epidemic disease, the Puritans did successfully repel and take more land from the natives and get used to this. And I don't mean this as an insult to the Native Americans at all, but you're going to hear this again and again and again. That the natives put up a fight, they might win a battle or two, and then they lose. So they move west. And the whites promise we'll never bother you again. And then here they come. And then, so the Indians fight, maybe win a battle, lose, move west, and the whites will never bother you again. And it happens again and again and again and again. And it starts raining. Okay? I will introduce one other concept, and that is that this was one of the first times when the natives exposed a fighting strategy that later on, during the American Revolutionary War, the Americans would have used against the British. And does anyone know what I'm talking about? Yes. Guerrilla warfare. Very good. So let us learn properly guerrilla warfare. Okay. First thing you have to do is expand your stomach. Okay. And then you got to spread the legs and then stick the arms out and then bring your hands in and then relax the wrists as you smile with your iron teeth. Right. Can you imagine if you're a British soldier and then suddenly a bunch of Americans are like, coming out of the trees? Oh, the fear. Parts of that might not be true. Okay, so the guerrilla tactics. Another way of saying it is hit and run, right? You strike and then you hide. Now, you know, what do you have to wear in order to blend? What's the word? Camouflage, exactly. So hit and run, camouflage, guerrilla tactics, they're all sort of the same thing. Introduced to the whites at this time. Any questions? Kind of an odd slide. Yes?
Could that be a reason why the Indians were the superior culture because of their techniques?
Yeah. Sure. Why not? Now, is there document evidence that makes that claim? Does Zinn say that somewhere that I've missed? I mean, maybe that document yesterday about how they talked about why they fight, that might be. Yeah, I think you can make that work. That's the fun of these Blue Book essays, right? You can sort of use the evidence that you want. Yes, dear.
I mean, guerrilla warfare. Like, I don't think you could use that historical, like, saying that they're, like, better or saying that they're, like, a kind of a better, like, way of fighting, because guerrilla warfare isn't really proven to be, like, the best kind of fighting. It's a good way of fighting and it's shown effective, but there's also better ways. There's also been other ways in history how different kinds of
Awesome.
fights work.
Then you shouldn't use it, but she should.
Okay.
That's great. I totally accept what you just said. Okay. Last slide. So let's just take a look at this map. And it's called Dominion of New England, and we'll explain here. So we've got the colony Connecticut, and we've got the colony Rhode Island, and Rhode Island is fairly tolerant, and Connecticut, you know, and then we've got the Massachusetts Bay Colony, and then we've got this thing called New Hampshire, and then don't forget the Plymouth Colony, and there they are. And they're 1, 2, 3, 4-ish colonies. And this is the beginning of a new we-they, which is a terrible sentence. But I'm wondering if you can start to see what I'm saying. American history, big idea here, is the development of we-they. This is a new we-they, just the start of it. It's the seed. It will grow. Do you know what I'm talking about? Yes.
It's kind of like they're like, look at us, we're our own thing. Look at them. We don't like
Yeah.
them.
Okay. Yep. Very good. Very good.
But
What do you mean we're our own thing? What is this thing going to grow into?
The original 13 colonies.
You're close. Yes?
The United States.
Eh,
They're united.
I mean, it's close. Are you a United States?
No.
You're not a United States.
America.
There it is. This is just the beginning of this thing called America. That these people are increasingly not seeing themselves as British. No, Britain is over there. We're not British, which is close to what are we then? Right? We're not quite there yet. We're not even close, but it's just the birth, right? Because of what happened here? Okay. Because of these wars band people together, right? You fight alongside other people and you die together and you see your brother die and you develop close relationships. Oftentimes wars unite a people. We fought them. Britain's over there. We fought these people. And so this is just the birth of this idea. Who are we? Right? And the beginning of, well, if we're not you, that means you're a they, and we're a we. Wow, what a sentence. These 4 distinct colonies were forced to, against their will, be created into one new colony. It was called New England. You now know, sports fans, why they're called the New England Patriots. Why aren't they called the Massachusetts Patriots? I mean, they play in Boston. Why aren't they called the Boston Patriots? And the answer is because they see themselves, the New England Patriots see themselves as representing this whole region, not just Boston. They're the team that represents that, right? So that's what New England is. New England, so I'm talking about this region, they were not allowed to have any town meetings because at these town meetings, increasingly, they raised anti-British, anti-English ideas. They started talking about themselves more, and the English crown did not like it. Yes, dear.
This might be a stupid question, but what is like the distinct difference between English and British or England and Britain?
We'll get there.
Okay.
I promise. We'll get there. Just know that right here, it's England. It's England over. By the American Revolution, it's Britain. Okay. Taxes imposed. You want to get a group of people mad? Raise their taxes. Oh, there's nothing that creates a we they like you just raised our taxes. Our taxes raised by you. Okay. And then something called mercantilism. I believe that's the first time we've been exposed to that word. Mercantilism was enforced. If I were to ask, you're all juniors? Do we have any seniors in here? Any seniors? You're all juniors. Okay. If I were to ask a group of 16 and 17-year-old juniors, what is the economic system that the United States has today? Could you answer?
Yes.
Could a group of CIS students in a high school say, the economic system of the United States is, and then say what it is? You think you can. How many of you think, yeah, I could do it? We have failed you. What is it?
Capitalism?
It's capitalism,
Oh.
right?
He was
Capitalism.
making me doubt
The
myself.
free market. Oh, okay, now I'll be like, oh, that, yeah. I could have done that. Capitalism, right? The free exchange of goods with very little government interference. This is another economic system. This is a different economic system. It's called mercantilism. And mercantilism went a little something like this. Hey, New England colonies, grow things, grow trees, grow tobacco, not so much sugar, and not so much cotton. So there we go. Grow trees and grow tobacco. English boats will land at your ports. Are there no desks? God, I thought I had enough. Sorry. English boats will land at your ports. English boats will land at your ports and take on the trees that you have cut down and the tobacco that you have grown. And English boats will take them back to England, and we will take those trees and make them into boats and chairs and picnic tables and beanbag toss things, and we'll take that tobacco and cure it and age it and make them into wonderful cigars, and then we'll sell them right back to you at a profit for us, England. You see, it's an enforced economic relationship. Again, today we live in capitalism. If you have a product, if you make shirts and you want to sell those shirts to Australia, go ahead, right? The United States has an open economic relationship with Australia, right? This is a closed relationship. No, Americans, Americans didn't exist yet. New Englanders, you will not put the stuff on your boats we'll come and get it. And as a result, that English boat owner will be paid, right, for shipping it. And we'll make it into a product which will sell right back to you. Nice. Do you see how maybe these people weren't huge fans of it? Maybe, right? I mean, what if they could sell at a better profit to other people, French, maybe, right? But nope, they can't. They can't because of English policy. Yes, dear.
How were they supposed to buy stuff if they didn't make profit off it?
Are you suggesting that this seemed to favor England?
Well, I know it favors England, but why did England expect them to be able to buy it back if they didn't make anything to buy
Well,
it
they
back?
made some money
Based off what?
growing the product.
England.
Oh, they got paid for growing
sure.
it.
Oh, sure.
Okay.
You'll get paid for growing a tree. I'll get paid for making a chair. Now, do we know basic economics? What's more expensive, a tree or a chair? And it's a nice chair. The chair. Yes, the chair is more expensive. The finished product is more expensive than the raw material, right? You do the primary economic activity over here. We'll do the secondary economic activity over there. I just use terms that you should be familiar with because you took civics. Or those of you in AP economics. Anybody in AP econ? No one in this room is an AP econ? Oh. When you grow the thing or you mine the thing, it's a primary economic activity. When you make it into something, it's a secondary economic activity. Now the salesman who sells it to you, that's a third level economic activity, or a teacher or a lawyer, right? That's third level. Yes, dear.
So basically, the New Englanders never got ahead because they had to buy
Very
it
good.
right back to them.
That's right. Now you didn't have to buy it. Of course, you didn't have to buy it,
Well, right.
but right, yes, you're talking about an imbalance of trade, right? Favoring England. Okay? Think of England as the mother spider, and you colonies, you're the flies, and you're in my web. All things benefit mother spider. It's kind of a handy way of remembering. Okay. This did not last long. This economic situation did not last long. All you're doing, England, is you're making your colonies mad. You're making your colonies wish that they were not you. And the crown was overthrown. The guy that came up with this was a guy by the name of James II. And he was overthrown in this thing called the Glorious Revolution. I think this is correct. No one was killed. I mean, they broke into the crown room. They said, "You give up?" And he said, "Yep." And that was the end. The Glorious Revolution. And the next monarch, frankly, I don't even know who it was. Let's just go with James III. Don't write that down. But it's a pretty good guess, right? A much better guess than James I. Now, that would be weird. He said, "Nat, forget this. Forget all this crap. We're going to treat you equally now." Okay? And we'll see how long that lasts. Okay. Very good. Any questions? The end. All right. Let's attack a couple documents. Let's attack a couple documents.
We're like at the end though.
We are near the end, aren't we?
Well,
As a matter of fact, I would say let's try and
yeah,
finish.
This is like the end.
Is this stuff really close to
We're near the end of our document.
What'd you
So just to make this consistent, what I will do is I will divide you once again into thoids. I realize that you all were assigned one of these documents, but that's okay. It's good to refresh your memory. So let's just have this chunk right here. I'm going to have you reread Schweikert and Allen, page 5, starting with the Aztecs. And let's have these two rows right here. I'm going to have you reread Schweikert and Allen, page 5, but it starts with, but it was sacrifice. Yes? And then these two rows right here, you are rereading Schweikert and Allen, pages 6 and 7, starting with neither disease. And again, you're answering two questions. According to Schweikert and Allen, who was the superior culture? And then more importantly, why? What? You knew it was coming. Why? I don't want to disappoint you. It's Friday. All right, go. Not yet. That starts soon. It looks like tobacco juice, but it's pretty good. Arnold Palmer. It looks like ash juice, doesn't it? Oh, and another video that will not make it to the website.
Was that like one of the little packets you did? Oh.
You're looking for this video on the website today. You're not going to find it. Sounds like we're ready. Okay. This group right here. According to Schweikert and Allen, which was the superior culture? Go ahead.
Well, not the natives. What? Oh. Wait, the Aztecs. You said what the Aztecs? Yeah.
The natives or the Europeans?
Oh, well,
The Europeans. Okay, good. What's the basic argument? Yeah, those cruel Aztec, right? I'll just read it. The Aztec had established a brutal regime. That's not praise. I mean, if you walk in the door and say, Catherine, you're so brutal. Catherine is, thanks. You know, I got up extra early and, brutal is an insult, right? So Schweikert and Allen are kind of ripping the Aztec. The Aztec had established a brutal regime that oppressed other natives of the region, capturing large numbers of them for ritual sacrifices in which Aztec priests cut out the beating hearts of living victims. Such barbarity enabled the Spanish to easily enlist other tribes, something that I pointed out. Remember, it wasn't the Spanish versus the Aztec. It was the Spanish plus a whole lot of native groups that were being squashed by the Aztec against the Aztec. And not even everybody Aztec, just the Aztec hierarchy. Okay, so pretty brutal. Now, can you find historical evidence to prove that? I have given you, and it's on the website somewhere, but it's that whole article on Montezuma, right? Any of you happen to take a look at that thing? You should. If you want to prove that the Aztec hierarchy was cruel, there's a lot of good stuff in that article, and it's on the website. I also have a hard copy. If you'd rather just have a hard copy, I can give it to you by the end of the hour today. Okay? Any questions on that one? Good.
Could I have one of those packets?
By the end of the hour today. Okay, that's right. All right, how about these two rows? What's the conclusion? According to Schweikert and Allen, who's the best superior culture?
Spanish.
Why? What's the argument?
They said that they didn't really use science or anything. They were just like killing people and trying to be jerks.
Who weren't using science?
The Aztec.
The Aztec. That's right. Right. That they were still basically an ignorant people, right? That they didn't have the advances of technology and advanced knowledge, right? Sacrifice, not science, that defined Aztec society, right? And you say, but what about the pyramids? But what did those pyramids do? Right? What was the point of those pyramids? This human human sacrifice. I mean, you could say, yeah, but what an impressive structure. Well, yeah, I guess. But what they do there? That's the barbarity part.
They also probably use slaves to build those.
Oh, absolutely. Right? The Aztec would conquer neighboring tribes. All right, let's go. Carry that rock. And the guy's like, oh, my back. Okay. Talking about how they throw down the lifeless bodies down the side of the pyramid temple. All right, how about these? The third document. What's the conclusion? I bet you could guess. Aztec or the European? Or more specifically, Spanish. Spanish? Okay, why?
They're European style.
Kind of an interesting argument. Okay, very good. Maybe, in my opinion, the most document evidence friendly document in this category. I mean, why is European society superior? Because European society had things like rights, liberty, freedom, nationalism, right? That they had these concepts in Europe, and what did the natives have? Human sacrifice. So over here we have God-given rights, life, liberty, property. That one gets a little bit gray because our slaves' property, fine. And what do they have over here? Carving out the hearts and kicking the carcass down the stairs to appease the war god. Right? I mean, you're talking about an ignorant, from Schweikert and Allen's point of view, an ignorant society and versus the European enlightened society. Okay? There are 3 Schweikert and Allen documents. Pick one for the document evidence and then use the other 2 as fodder for potential historical evidence. Question?
No, I was just going to say that you had to be male and white to have all those rights, though, right?
Well, yes, that's true. And I think you've just suggested a possible refutation of Schweikert and Allen. Very good, right? So if you disagree with Schweikert and Allen, claim that Schweikert and Allen mistakenly believed that the Europeans were the superior culture, find which one of these document pieces of evidence that you want to use, paraphrase it, and then choose a different one as historical evidence to say, they might have a point. And talk about how the Europeans had all these, the Mayflower Compact. What an excellent document. And that's real historical evidence. I mean, the Mayflower Compact is a real thing, which established rights. And the fundamental Earth Connector, it had rights. People had rights. And then say, aha, kick him in the gut with, yeah, but who enjoyed those rights? Which groups of people? And then narrow it down. All right, you got males and females, goodbye. And now you have males, and you have white males and not male, goodbye. And suddenly you've got rights for a very small group of people. And then refute Schweikert and Allen that way. Very good. Okay. Any other questions? Just gonna take a swig of this yummy tobacco juice. Tobacco's fit. Okay, that was a joke. All right, so with the remainder of the hour, let's see, this class goes till, sorry, what? 10:35. Look at that, over 20 minutes for you to, hey, I've got some good news. Are you not done with your Kias yet? I haven't checked. You got 20 minutes. If you want to finish those bad boys up, you got 20 minutes, okay? Or you have a paragraph that's due Monday. Or did you ever get someone to read your first paragraph? Now's your chance. Or you got that Lexington thing. I said you needed to have it read by today. Can we just eyeball who had witness number one? Just eyeball. If you had witness number one, look at the other people raising their hand right now. See them? You want to go and chat with them and see if you and they kind of agree about how you interpreted? Be my guest. You got 20 minutes. Okay, will you raise your hand now if you're number two, witness number two, witness number two? Come on, that's not possible. You're lying. You have document two, and she has document two. Young over there. Okay, if you two want to chat. How about three? A bunch of threes. See each other? Four. Do you see each other? How about fives?
Ow.
Fives. You want to take advantage of each other's brains and do so. Great. Sixes. Sixes. There's one. I could chat with you.
What?
Sevens? Are there any sevens? I think that's it, right?
No.
And right over there. Okay. And right back there. Okay. How we doing? We all have a game plan for the next 20 minutes? All right.
What's the second paragraph supposed to be about?
Actually, so you know how this first one is about who you disagree with, right?
Yeah.
Provide the same point for